to watch this video. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new punk rock videos every week and tap the bell to get notified when new videos drop. My name is Erin Micklow, and I'm here at Wonk Fest in London with Pete Bentham and the Dinner Ladies. Introduce yourselves.
Oh, my name's Gina Tonic, and I'm one of the Dinner Ladies.
I'm Pete Bentham. I'm not one of the Dinner Ladies.
I am Cantina Turner, dancing fool for the Dinner Ladies.
You guys were great tonight. You have a really interesting stage set, which is what people told me. They're like, Pete Bentham and the Dinner Ladies, they put on an amazing show. Can you talk about your stage set for those of you that haven't seen it, that don't know who you are, my American audience, that is like, what is this all about?
I guess we just some people just kind of dismiss us as a kind of a comedy act, but we're not really. If you actually listen to the words, we're actually singing quite political things some of the time, but we just thought if we make it more entertaining, that's a better way of getting those ideas across, like a political comedian or something might do. So that's kind of what I set out to do from the start. And my mum used to be a dinner lady, so that's where the name comes from. I think they're called lunch ladies in the States.
Yeah, same thing.
I think they're called lunch ladies in the States. Anyway, so that's where I got the idea from.
So what is a dinner lady exactly?
Ladies who serve food to kids in school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like in a canteen, like mashed potato and shepherd's pie, lots of
hearty traditional food for the working kids. They're not working, but never mind.
Normally with a lot of attitude. It's normally like people's nans and people's
they often have to deal with cheeky naughty kids and stuff. So they they tend to have a bit of attitude, dinner ladies in the UK anyway.
Well, and it's not like comedy, as you say. It's satire. It's cultural. And it's also, I'd say, there's a touch of British music hall in there.
Theatre.
Theatre.
Yeah, it definitely is different than I feel like maybe in America we had that. A lot of movies will parody it, and it's the lunch ladies that had outfits similar to yours. But it you don't really see that so often anymore. Is it a thing that still kind of exists here in the UK, or? Yeah,
kind of. And another band, the UK bands like sort of Madness and stuff like that, have used that kind of kind of theatrical thing as well in the past. So that's kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but your sound, your stage set, I hear it's kind of like rockabilly, rock and roll, and it reminds me a lot of Chuck Berry. Can you talk about some of your musical influences?
Yeah, well, I'm a bit older than the other members, and so I grew up on old rock and roll records and stuff like that, 60s, 50s, 60s music and stuff, and then obviously punk rock. But I was always kind of into the more kind of arty, theatrical end of punk rock. I like B-52s, X-Ray Specs, Rosillos, that kind of thing. So I always liked that end of it rather than the really heavy end of it. So that's my influence. But quite an interesting band, because people say we're like a people's band because we're kind of different ages, with different types, with different genres, and so we all bring different influences to it. So the others would add to that maybe.
I think we just take the piss, don't we? I mean, that's an American thing.
Yeah.
We take the piss, take the mick.
Well, and I try and incorporate some of my favourite artists into what I'm doing, even though I'm dancing. I mean, my favourites were always like Sex Pistols and The Damned and things like that. So I try and put a bit of Captain Sensible in there, a bit of old Johnny Rotten in there. Things like that,
You're into the drag thing as well.
And I love drag, so I incorporate a bit of that. Mix it all together in a blender, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
But when you came home, you were to rock and roll. For the powers that be, with the face you think, hey,
stuff that like you're throwing stuff off stage. You have a lot of props in your stage set. Can you talk about that? I've noticed. I feel like this is a thing with UK bands. You know, like I really like. At shows in America, you don't see that so much. You just don't. Like I come over here and it's like, what am I watching? I mean, this is great, but this is really fucking weird.
It's just to sort of include the audience even more and things. Like we throw a brick at them and it gets them involved and they flinch and people always think it's a real brick that we're chucking at their heads. And of course it's not. I'm not going to brain you with a brick, but it's fun and it makes them laugh and it kind of gets them included and then they start thinking about the words more and stuff like that.
And I think we've just got such a long history in Britain of props. If you think like Punch and Judy and sausages, I don't know if you know
and
Punch
like
and Judy.
Monty Python and stuff like that kind of thing.
Like silliness.
Yeah, definitely.
Punky Python.
Yeah, Punky Python.
What's within? Never ever doubt what it's all about.
You do have a new album and a new single coming out, correct? Yeah, I did catch one of the song live. What was it? It was
What's on the Inside has to come out. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the title track of the album and it's going to be the first single. And you know, it's kind of a bit like John is by day has been like a mild-mannered NHS clerk, you know, and then he's got into drag thing and he's become this amazing peacock. And it's just kind of that thing about people, you know, you really can't suppress stuff like that. If you got to let that kind of stuff out, whatever you want to be, you know, you got to let that stuff out. You really mess yourself up if you don't. So, and that's kind of the theme of the album, really. That kind of thing, you know. Let out your inner dinner lady, basically.
Just be authentic.
Yeah.
You can all be a dinner
yourself.
lady.
Be yourself. Totally.
Can you share some stories about making the album, any struggles you faced, or can you talk more about, can you share anything else, any other tidbits of songs? Or?
I mean, a lot of our album, I say we have been quite political. Last album was called England's Up for Sale. It was kind of like Brexit Britain and you know, kind of looking at the political situation. But this one is more about like personal things, like what's on the inside has to come out, stuff you're dealing with yourself. So yeah, it's much more like things that people can relate to on a personal level. But you know, we have all the same struggles as every DIY band has. You know, trying to get enough money to pay for everything and all the rest of it. Yeah. And but you wouldn't have it any other way. You look at the festival today, Wonk Festival, like amazing community spirit. Yeah. And the punk scene is just. It's just great. I don't know how other bands from other scenes, indie bands or whatever, don't know how they're gone, but punk scene is just makes it all worthwhile. Although, you know, we're probably never ever going to be millionaires or whatever. But it's amazing. Sorry about that, mate.
You promised me money. All right, I'm out of here.
Oh my God. You have a label releasing the album, right?
Yes, we do. We've been on a DIY label called Anti-Pop Records in Liverpool for a while, but the new record we got out is a really cool record shop, a vinyl record store in Liverpool, and he started this new label called 9x9 Records, and we've put it out on that just because one of my favourite record labels is Stiff Records, which is with Elvis Costello, Ian Jury, Madness to Damned and all that lot, and it's got that kind of, that was just like a little shop, you know, and that become like a label, and I just like that idea. It's a great, it's like an anti-corporate thing, you know. So, but they really know what they're doing, and they really know about vinyl, because vinyl's come back massively, and that's like a vinyl record shop, and you know, they know you have to make it like look interesting and coloured vinyl and have all the lyrics and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's why it's quite exciting, the new record.
For sure. What else do you guys have coming up for the band aside from obviously you're playing our fest at Rebellion?
Yeah, we're doing that, but I mean we've done a lot of UK tours and we've done a lot in Europe. We haven't been back since the dreaded Brexit and the dreaded COVID.
Yeah, double whammy.
But I know. But yeah, we plan to go back there next year. So I've said enough. Ask one of these something.
Yeah, got the album launch in November as well.
Yeah, we've got a big album launch in Liverpool in November because we're from Liverpool and people should know Liverpool is great and it's kind of not England, it's kind of its own place.
How so?
It's a bit like, like New York kind of has a bit of an attitude and it kind of considers itself as like its own place.
That's like LA. I mean, LA.
And maybe probably LA as well.
LA is like that too, where it's like it's a bubble and it's a very special place.
Yeah.
In good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, there's that famous saying, Scouse, not English.
Yeah. They have a saying like the football matches and stuff. But it was like Liverpool was like a huge port. And like it's got a lot of influence over the years. It was like one of the most important ports in the world, so it had a lot of influences. Like they reckon the Beatles could only come from Liverpool because kids in Liverpool were getting the early rock and roll records before anyone else, because the sailors were bringing them in from the States.
Yeah.
So it's got that. So it's got things like that. It's got lots of different. I suppose places like Hamburg and places like that are the same kind of thing, It's got that kind of melting pot of different cultures and everything. So it's kind of its own place. So it's just, it's just a special place. Well, we think it's a special place because we're from there anyway. So
well, I've never been, so I'd like to.
You need to go. It's great. Yeah, it's rock and roll town. Yeah, it's a rock and roll town. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
Man.
I like
Lots
that.
of punks.
Yeah.
That's your new mission. You're coming to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna close with that and say thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight.
Thank you, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for putting up with the heat.
Yeah, pumpkin time.
We're Pete Bentham and the Dinner Ladies, and you're watching Last Rockers TV.